which race from your career are you the most proud of?
Let's see. I think the 200 breasts at trials, the final. Yeah.
Does Mel beat you in practice? And if so, in what?
Very often. Yeah.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist, joined by Dr. John Mullen and U.S. national teamer Nic Fink. What's going on, Nick?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's not every day we get to talk to one of the fastest swimmers in the slowest stroke in swimming. So just hoping to learn a bit from you. That's all.
It's the most beautiful stroke too. So if anyone asks,
piece of art, some would say.
A legend.
Very distorted, abstract art.
Yes.
So, Nick, I got to ask, you're fresh off of U.S. trials, and I got the great fortune of a surprise meeting with your whole family there at a dinner after the meet. But unfortunately, didn't get to meet your mom, who was at the U.S. Open for pickleball. So How did that turn out?
Well, she was going down for it was like her first time really doing the U.S. Open there, and I think she got some good experience out of it. I think she lost her first two matches and was bounced from the tournament quickly, but we're really happy and excited that she got to go, and I think it was really fun, kind of going through the motions there.
Who's the family champ in pickleball then?
Well, it sounds like she's gotten a lot better since the last time we played. She practices, I think, more. She gets out more than I do, and more than my dad and my sister do. So I think she's probably the family champ, but we'll have to have some sort of family tournament or round robin thing when we all get together next time.
Now, pickleball is becoming more popular, but I don't know if everyone knows what it is. If people ask you, what is pickleball, Nick, how do you describe it?
It's a combination of tennis and ping pong, I would say. Smaller courts, paddles, not rackets, and it's kind of like that. So less running, which is something that I support in my hobbies. So
I hope that if anybody asked you this in Tokyo last summer, that you worked badminton in there, because that's much more relatable to the locals.
Badminton, yeah, that is a good comp for it.
Yeah. So, well, what are you up to after trials? How's kind of the come down from trials going? Where are you at training? There's this kind of weird lull between, the taper meet and then the next taper meet. So, give us the update.
Yeah. Well, the update was I had to finish up some stuff for the end of my semester because I'm taking classes in school. So I had finals week during trials and the week after trials. So I was trying to work my stuff around there. And then I also had the trip to DC, which was a lot of fun. We did that too. So and then I got back and finally, got everything done that I needed to. And from a training perspective, at least I probably did a little bit of maintenance afterwards, just trying to get everything done. But then now we've started to get really back into it because, yeah, like you said, it's kind of a little weird lull. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work, get my butt kicked a little bit, and then back to taper, which is nice. So.
Yeah, sounds like a hectic time at World Champ Trials. Would love to get just your general thoughts on the meet. Obviously, a few PBs in the 50 and 100 breast, 200 breast to tie. Brian, how many 200 breast long course ties have you seen in your career?
I don't know. It's just so slow. It takes forever to swim it, and 0 ties. That was the first tie that I've ever seen. Is it the first tie that you've ever had?
In a 200 breaststroke, I want to say, yeah. I don't know if there's many times where I've tied, for the win or for any position. I think they're usually a little more spread out. But yeah, definitely first time tying for a win, I think, in a 2 breast.
So what did you think about all the swims in the meet for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was super pleased with the 2 PRs going into the 50 and the 100. And, that was kind of my goal this season. it was definitely more of a laid back approach because I wanted to focus on school a little more than swimming and kind of take a step back away from swimming a little bit. So rather than trying to find success in the 2 breast, which is like what I've been doing in the past, I wanted to put more eggs in the 150 basket, I guess. And so to see that work pay off was a lot of fun to be in those races and stuff like that. So yeah, overall I was definitely pleased with the meet. I mean, coming into this year, I really didn't even know if I'd be going best times or what. So yeah, to do that was pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking before the show, Brian and I, about the fastest combo breaststrokers, we'll call them, the 50 plus the 100 plus the 200. Now, we didn't have enough time to deep dive it there, but you definitely have to be up there on the list. You take a little honor in being good at all those?
Yeah, I do. I think it was one of those things where it definitely bothered me in ISL when I was just like seeing how many people beat me in all the breaststrokes, and I was like, I need to get that number lower. Like, I need to be better overall. Like, I can't be just good in one thing. So I think pride myself in being able to do all 3, and I don't think I don't necessarily need to be a specialist in one in particular, which has been good because I can be successful in all 3 and kind of do that. So yeah, I guess I haven't looked at the specific numbers, but it's definitely fun to go in and have a wide range, be in contention at any breaststroke race. So
it seems like it's got to be a super rare thing because in the 200 you always end up with people who are like IMers who kind of work, their third event is the 200 IM or 200 breast, but they don't swim other breaststroke events. Or you have 100 and 200 guys who are trending somewhere in the range between the two, but usually stronger in one versus the other. But almost nowhere in that combination is there somebody who's not only like good at all 3, but American record setting in all 3, and one of the best swimmers in the world in all 3. So that's like, I can't even think of another example. Maybe in some other strokes, like I don't know, Murphy is really good at the 50 back too, but like I don't know.
Some of the older guys like Hansen and them would have been good, but they weren't doing the 50 as much either, right? And the 100 has gotten quite a bit faster since those guys were going. So, like I said, I think the sprint breast has definitely progressed quite a bit here away from that kind of era of Hansen and Kitajima and things like that.
Yeah, that's one of the PBs I was really happy with was the 50 because I think my last best time was from like 2017. So to knock, especially with the combo, if you add all 3, to knock like 3/4 of a second off in the 50 is huge. So
check.
Yeah, that is big. You guys were both pretty far under Cordis's record too. I mean, 2/10 and a 50 is a big swim. So
yeah.
So, well, I want to ask about training then, since you mentioned the the focus area having been a little bit more on the sprint side, yet you're still going 208 in the 200. It's so crazy. Can you share us a little bit about like the changeover to swimming at Tech? And some of the pedigree is sort of interesting too here with the coaches that you have at Tech, and I want to hear you describe who all is involved in it. But like among them are some UGA alums and Courtney Sheely-Hart and Mike Normant, and both with U.S. national team Olympic success amongst them. So it's like you're swimming with a lot of swimming knowledge, horsepower, influencing you on a daily basis. Plus, your influence as a professional onto your program. Just give us a sense of what it is that you're doing on a daily basis now, and maybe how that's changed since you moved on from Georgia.
Yeah. So I guess it all started when I was applying for grad schools, and I got into Tech, and I knew I was going to probably go there. And Neil Versfeld, who's now a coach at UGA, and he coached at Tech and swam at Georgia. So another one of those Georgia grads with a Tech connection. But he was like, oh, like you should go and train with Mike Normant. And I hadn't really had an experience with Mike before. So I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. So definitely talked to Mike about training with the team, and Courtney was, generous enough to let me work with, the coaches and the other swimmers, and kind of, slowly uh, immerse myself with the team, and so it's been great coaching there, or the coaching's been great there with Mike running a lot of my workouts, and then, like you said, I'm still have to do some 200 work, so I get some mid D stuff in with Chico. He's like their mid D stroke IM coach. So those three people have really had a good hand in what's been going on in my training, and I mean, I can't thank them enough for cooperating with. I mean, my schedule's just been crazy this fall and spring with with ISL and travel and then school, and like some days I literally have to be like, Mike, I don't want to come in this morning. I've been up since 2 doing schoolwork. He's like, that's fine. So he's been super flexible, and all the coaches have been very flexible with me, and they know that once I get in, I do the work, but I just need to have my own schedule sometimes because I'll be traveling and all that stuff. And I mean, I think Mike went from the ACCs to NCAA grind to San Antonio straight up the next week, and I was like, I felt bad for him because he was doing all this coaching and at meets and wasn't spending any time like at home, and so they've been really great. I can't thank them enough for like hosting me, let alone all the work that goes into dealing with someone like me. So but it's been a blast. And so from a coaching perspective, it's definitely a little different than what our training perspective, a little different than what Jack used to have me do, which is totally makes sense because I went into Mike, the first couple of weeks of training with Mike very honest, and I was like, hey, listen, like my priority isn't swimming anymore. Like I'd rather be doing shorter stuff, better stuff. Like I don't know how many more times I can come in and see like 16 200s and just grind those out. I knew it's like I knew that's like what I had to do in the past, and all that stuff is the you do what you got to do to get to the level you want to be at. So and so I think he understood that, and he found different ways of engaging me, and making sure I'm getting a good workout every time I go. And recovery days, I haven't had those in a while, so I get those at Tech, which is nice. But you definitely see like Mike's definitely more sprint oriented, but he knows how to do the aerobic stuff just because he was with Jack, and there is that Georgia, as much as the schools might not admit it, there is a Georgia Tech connection. And Harvey Humphreys, a former Georgia coach, he would describe it as we're all still wearing our red underwear. So we may be representing Georgia Tech, but we still have that our home in Athens. So it's been fun, and it's cool to like go to meets and see, because they all like talk to each other because they all know each other, and then they're all going out to dinner, all the coaches, and it's there's no animosity, which is cool because a lot of coaches don't like each other, but all of my coaches like each other, so that's really nice.
So a good amount of training changes, it sounds like. The awful word of rest days for someone that does the 200 breast certainly isn't a common practice. What else do you think has helped out with your sprint breaststroke? Have you been making any technical changes, or has the ISL, you think, facilitated that, being around other great international sprint breaststrokers?
Yeah, well, I think from a training perspective, we definitely do a lot more technique stuff here and video stuff. So I think that has really helped kind of fine tune and keep my stroke sharp. And it's a little bit easier to kind of train at a very, very high, like technical level, I guess, when you're not as buried. And so I used to be buried all the time. Right. But now that I get, a little more rest, a little less practices, I can be sharp on a daily basis. And I think something like that is more important for, the 50 and the 100. So I think that has definitely helped kind of keep me sharp. But in a racing kind of mindset, I think ISL was definitely really important for not only motivating you through like the fall, the post Olympic fall, which is always, people say it's the hardest time in a swimming career, is like it once you make the games, and then it's like the next year is really hard. So I think ISL helped keep me not only in the water but motivated to keep training and not just go through the motions, but I wanted to, I wanted to do well, and I wanted to help Cali win. So I think that kept me in really good race shape and really good kind of race mentality throughout the fall. And I think that definitely carried over towards long course season.
Your comments about what ISL does for you mentally and how that can be a motivating factor just makes me think a little about your career arc, which I'm going to go through this a bit because it's pretty interesting to see some of this. And if I'm off on some of the details, please correct me. But in large part, you have a standout college career. You do make 2012 trials, so like by the time you get to Tokyo, it's your third trials. I think that's an important one. But you went from semifinaling at your first trials to making the Worlds team the next summer in 2013. You final at Worlds. The next summer, you go to Pan Pacs, you get silver, top American. It looks like 2015 and 2016, and kind of all the way until 2019, there was a bit of a lull because you go to trials in 2016. Looks like 2015, they couldn't even find you in results. 2016 trials, you finished seventh in the 100 and the 200. Don't make that team after having been one of the A breaststrokers in the U.S. All the way back to then 2019, 2081, swimming on the medley relay at Pan Am's, ISL success, and then you come back and make the Olympic team next summer, the following summer after, the pandemic and navigating a third place finish in the 100 and having to wait till the very end of trials to make the team. So, I mean, I guess I share all this because you've got quite the arc of maybe a late start to swimming and then, a pretty rapid progression to a lull in the middle to now it seems like, you're one of the hottest hands in swimming. So, like, can you just kind of talk us through the ebbs and flows, the highs and lows, what that's been like in your career?
Yeah. It's it is interesting looking back and seeing kind of the results and how everything kind of played out. And I think a lot of people ask me, why now? Why am I having success? Why am I going best times? And I think yeah, in 20 after 2018, I think I kind of had to rewire my brain a little bit and kind of reevaluate how I approach the sport. I think I brought an intensity to kind of the sport and my mindset that I don't know helped me. I think we all kind of approach things differently, and I certainly see that in like national team meets and stuff like that, where everyone is kind of very different. But I think after college you turn pro, and that's kind of that's your job now. So I used to be really really intense, and if I got second at a pro series meet, I'd be like so upset with myself, and if I had a bad practice, I'd be upset, and it was kind of more of a robotic way of going through and not really, I don't know, like I wasn't having as much fun with it anymore. And I know it sounds cliche and whatever, but it's like the more the more relaxed I was, I found that I was swimming better. Is like I would, uh, crush certain practices and just whatever on a daily basis, but I could go to a meet and like tighten up and just because I put so much pressure and intensity in it. And I don't think it was so bad to where I couldn't compete. I mean, I still made the world's team in 2017 with the best time in the 200. I still was making these meets, making these finals and stuff, but I think something happened in I think after 2018, I had a pretty bad summer that year, pretty bad end of the year meet. Probably, well, that and 16 trials probably my worst taper meets of my career. But where I kind of had to rewire my brain and think, be more relaxed going into meets and kind of understand that bringing intensity doesn't work for me. And it's like one of those things where I don't think I'm doing anything. Well, this year I am, but like I don't know. And recently I'm not doing anything that different, but I think I'm just so much better up here that it's like all starting to make sense. And I think I learned how to race, and I think ISL definitely helps. Especially Vegas in 19 was when I won a couple events there. I beat PD in the 50, and then those the Russians in the 200. I think that's kind of was like, I guess, a jumping point for putting me back into like the top elite level of the sport. Because I think I was around the I don't know, top 8 to 16 range for, like you said, that 3 or 4 years. So it was definitely, it definitely is not a real complicated answer, but more like experience in the sport and learning how to approach a race. And I think, a lot of people are like, oh, like maybe I should have kept swimming and I would have gotten best times when I was 28. Like, well, like maybe you could have, like you just don't know. And right. I think, it's like mentally I just started figuring out how to race and learning how to approach every day and how to do that kind of differently.
Yeah, obviously, maturity, a lot of this will come with just time and figuring yourself out. You mentioned, rewiring your brain a few times. I'd love for you to talk more about if there were things that you were doing or people you were working with that, or if you do feel like that was just maturity and you kind of figuring out what works best for you over, the years of training and some obstacles that you've had to overcome.
I probably should have been working with people, at least from a mental standpoint. I think the biggest person I could probably attribute that to is Mel. We've been dating for a long time. Melanie Margaus is I don't know if I'm referring to if anyone's listening, but we've been dating for a long time, and she's obviously one of the like greatest IMers in American history, I would say, for sure. And she knows how to race just as much as better than anybody that I know. So I think after Worlds, where in 2015, where I didn't even make a final, I think she was like, "You just got to learn how to relax, dude." I think I tried.
Come on, bro, just chill.
It took a couple of years after that to kick in.
It takes a woman to say that to you, right? For it to finally sink in.
Just sees me, because she sees me on a daily basis and knows how I work. And then I go to these meets and I'm like so intense. She's like, "You just got to learn how to relax." I'm like, all right, yeah. So I eventually, I think I kind of learned how to fine tune all that stuff. And, especially after, 16, I put way too much pressure on myself to make the Olympic team. I went into it like, if I don't make the Olympic team, then like my career is a failure, and that's totally not the way to look at it. It's just silly to think that. So, I think going into 2020 or 2021, I guess, I was like, I'm pretty proud of what I've accomplished. The Olympics would be icing on the cake. And I think that helped me in staying relaxed out there. But I think it was just like, I mean, being able to talk with her about a bunch of stuff about swimming, everything on a daily basis, I think is one way of therapy that I probably needed and used. Someone who was, in the lane next to me for so long. So she understood, what it was like to be at those meets and those levels and stuff. And I was really able to talk with her through anything. So,
that's, it's easy to say, but it's a really hard thing to do. And I'll share my account is The Olympic trials is the most nervous I've ever been for any swim meet, and it's the only swim meet that I've ever been to. And I mean, I'd swim in NCAA finals, and I'd been to World Short Course, and I'd represented the U.S. at some international meets, but it was the only meet that I'd ever been to where I just had these like unbelievable nerves that made me so tight before racing. And one of the reasons why it stood out to me that you made trials in 2012 is you got to have the trials experience early, and then you'd had the 2016 experience where you did swim tight, and you've had both of those under your belt to be able to reflect upon and learn from, so that you could channel them, for Tokyo trials. And I think there's a huge advantage to have a third lap where, that first trials, I think everybody learns some, but you just can't get it right on the first try. And sometimes like you can't practice it either, because those nerves don't come up until you get to that meet. So whatever you figured out is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, no, yeah, 2012, I didn't really have a shot at finally making a team. I was planning on taking, I think, like a 3-month break after trials, but so I was like, going for the experience. Then, because another way I respond to people who say, how are you going best times? Like how are you doing this at such a late stage? And the answer is I don't know if I could have done it without like all those previous, like you said, the highs and the lows. I've learned so much from that. And, ideally, if I could go back with the knowledge I have now, that'd be great, but it just doesn't work that way. And, the way that I'm racing now is because I've had the failures and I've figured out what doesn't work for me. And, it took me a while to kind of fine tune all that stuff, but, I'm happy to be still going, still kicking. And, I think the definitely the trials progression is interesting. From a results standpoint, but also kind of how I was able to kind of develop too. So
yeah, now you seem like one of the most relaxed guys behind the block. You got this little dance that you do that's your signature wave. And I don't know if that's like a Cali Condor reference or something, but I feel like you've got this thing, and you just look like the most relaxed guy. You got the this.
Yeah, at the games, I did the rings behind the head. I did that
one. Yeah, which I mean that's huge. In terms of just setting your mindset, and then being that guy not only on the surface but also between your ears. I wanted to ask you about some things I read about people that said really nice things about you after you had made the team in Tokyo. I just saw both Jack Bowerly and Jay Litherland having said some things like, Jack, I'll paraphrase, saying that there were a bunch of coaching friends of his who everybody really wanted you to make the team because of your tremendous work ethic and the reputation that you have on deck. And then Jay Litherland had said that if he had to give up his spot for anybody, that you would be the person that he gave it up for. And so I just think it's like, what is it about you and what you are to other people with what you do? Like, do you even know what it is that gives you that sort of reputation?
Wow. They just see that I'm just a super cool guy, and they like that about. No, I don't know what it is, to be honest. I mean, to get words like that from Jack Bowerly, who's coached just about everybody, who's been at the highest level of the sport for so long. It's like, I went in there and I did my best every day, and I just tried to be as coachable as possible. I tried to represent the university, represent him as best as I could. And, it is, really, really, really cool to have him there because, we were there for, almost 10 years and he was, he saw me as an 18-year-old kid growing up through the sport, through school, through everything. So, but yeah, like I said, he's been that kind of figure for a lot of people. So to have words like that about me means so much to me, and he's been so happy for me, especially this year. Obviously, not wearing the Tech logo on my cap, but everything else surrounding the success I've seen
with your red underwear. He knows you got the red underwear on.
He knows. Yeah, he knows. I swear, one time at trials this past week, he was like telling me, like giving me some, words of wisdom or whatever. And I think as I put my cap on, he walked away, and I don't even think he realized it. I think he was just talking about make sure you take it strong and you relax. And I swear I put my cap on, and he just walked away, and he didn't even realize. I was like, I think he was subconscious. I think he sees the GT. And he's like, I don't want to talk to this kid.
He's got a sense of the paparazzi. He doesn't want his photo to be taken.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, between that and then having the respect of your peers, like for Jay to say something like that, means a lot, because these aren't people who you have one time, 2-time encounters with. Jay's been there since for what 5 or 6 of the 9 years I was there. So, I've trained with him a bunch, and we've spent so much time together. So, to have him say something like that is I don't know how to, I don't know how to respond. That I'm, honored and humbled to kind of be seen in that light. So,
I mean, when I look back at some of my teammates and who I would have described that as, it's always, like you said, the people that are hard workers, the people that are always showing up, always there for you. Now, obviously, in more of a pro group setting at Georgia Tech, it's got to be a little bit more of a different atmosphere than, the team at Georgia. What type of things have you changed personally about that training environment to continue to propel moving forward?
Well, I don't know that the Georgia training group was always interesting, just because you got a lot of big personalities and a lot of big goals. So on a daily basis, there isn't many places on earth where you could have been to have been in a better spot to try to find success in the pool. So bringing the sense of coachability, but also trying to work with what the coaches were giving you, what other the other athletes were doing, whether you wanted to race. I was kind of blessed enough to be able to race Andrew Wilson, Kevin Cordes, Chase Kalish, all great 200 breaststrokers, and then obviously Kevin and Andrew are great 100 breaststrokers too on a daily basis. And so something like that was a lot of fun, and I think not losing sight of what we wanted to accomplish and what our goals were was something that was really, really cool, because this year I was definitely I had I was training with Mel a lot, and I had school kind of on the side too, but it wasn't like quite the same as a group of 10 or 12 people all training for the same thing, and I think that was really special about that group, and we've all kind of grown and went our separate ways this past year, but I think a lot of our success was from kind of that training group last year.
I was thinking about Cordis actually having been a pretty good at that combo breaststroke of 50, 100, and 200.
Yeah.
When you mentioned him, a career, we should actually add this up and find out where you sit in the top.
I think it would be really close between me and him. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really
Slam, get on that already. Come on now.
Yeah, what the heck?
Come on,
that's not what we're here for.
We probably already have done it. We just don't follow it that closely.
What's long term for you then? ISL obviously this year is postponed or canceled or whatever. We have no idea if like funding is even going to happen for that going forward. As a swim fan, I hope so, but I don't think anybody can count on that. You'd know better than we do. So, what's career timeline? And also, can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in school too? Because there's the career outside of the pool that I assume at some point you want to get to as well. So what's the future for Nic?
That's a good question.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, no, it's turning more and more into a loaded question. The more people ask,
Don't let me rush you. I love
No,
the fact
no,
that you're
no,
swimming long, but you know,
I have, yeah, it's fun because I I was definitely happy with how last summer turned out. Making the Olympic team and getting to go to Tokyo is obviously like a pinnacle of a career, right? So I wanted to go to school, and I enjoyed studying engineering as an undergrad at Georgia, so I wanted to go back to school for that. So I thought now would be a good time, and this was kind of a victory lap year, I guess you could say. I wasn't really anticipating having nearly the amount of success that I have, short course, long course, any of it, right? I was gonna train as best I could, but just didn't think I'd have enough eggs in that basket, right? So it was definitely interesting to kind of see the success that I've had, and I think I haven't committed to 2024. I don't know if I plan on going through to Paris, just because it's only 2 years away, but it's also 2 years away. So I think that what I've decided, and since the beginning of this year and going forward, is just take swimming like 6 months at a time. And what the plan was is that there's ISL Short Course Worlds, that was the back end of last year, and then long course Worlds this year, and then knowing that there's probably going to be a short course Worlds at the end of next year, and the cycle continues. So when Japan Worlds got postponed to next year, there was definitely some hard days of going to practice, finding the motivation, because that plan had suddenly vanished. I wasn't on a 6-month timeline anymore, and I was on a year and a half timeline, and that or a year, I guess, timeline, and that was a little more than what I had kind of bargained for with myself. So I was definitely like in limbo there of thinking, I don't know if I have any motivation to kind of get in and keep swimming when there's nothing really on the calendar till maybe December. And moving to Atlanta has been great, because it's kind of opened my eyes to what life could be like after swimming. I think Athens, we were kind of in our little bubble doing the same thing we've been doing for the past 8 years, and coming to Atlanta and seeing how your friends are, and how people who aren't swimming, you're in an environment where people aren't swimming, and you get to like go do things and stuff. So I'm really excited about the next phase of my life, and that's the thing, is life's going to happen at some point. So I'm not scared of that. I'm actually really excited for it, and I just hadn't really anticipated being as competitive as I was this year. So that's been really cool, and I'm not, I can't quit it yet, right? So I still find it a lot of, I still find joy in training, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy the grind still. So the future is confusing. It is not clear. It is it is taking it, at least from a swimming perspective, it's taking it 6 months at a time and seeing kind of where that takes me. And after that, I definitely want to go into something that is electrical engineering. Right now I'm studying systems and controls is one area of emphasis, and then digital image process or digital signal processing is another one. But that involves like robotics and like machine learning and stuff like that. So those are kind of the areas that I've been studying, that I'm really kind of interested in kind of going into that field. Whether that's in July or September 2024, I don't know. I really can't answer that. So it's been, I mean, and Mel's been great about supporting me for whatever I want to do. My family's been great about, my family's like, oh, like maybe you should go to 2024 because they want to see me swim. And because they're going to Budapest and they get to go to all these meets too. So they're happy that I'm still having fun in the sport and still swimming. And so yeah, it's a loaded question, lots of answers or lots of non-answers, I guess I should say. Yeah.
So during like peak training, what does your training and school schedule look like? Like how often are you getting to the pool? How much you doing dry land and things like that?
Yeah. So the fall I had 12 hours, right? So that's 4 classes. And I had not taken a class in about 5 years. So I was trying to do 4 graduate level electrical engineering classes after not taking a class for 5 years, while
Rusty is what you're getting at.
spending 3 weeks, 2 3-week periods in Europe. So I was the answer to how training in school was in the fall was, it was a nightmare. It was just, I was a robot trying to just get through everything. And it's funny because it was just like kind of how I kept stumbling forward is kind of how I how I phrase it, because like my GPA ended up being pretty good and swimming ended up being really good. So I was like, don't know how I did it, but I kind of kept going through. And then this last semester, obviously less training, less traveling. And then I actually had 1 less class. So I was taking 9 hours. So that ended up, I think, helping out a lot. Even just the 1 less class. And so it's been a balance kind of this past year. In the fall, Mike was really trying to get me to do 2 doubles. I could not find the time to do 2 doubles, so I ended up only doing 1 double a week. But that still included 3 lifts. And then he likes to throw in some dry land stuff, I guess, before like power sets and whatever. So I kind of got some of those in there. But yeah, that was kind of the bare minimum I could really, the maximum I guess I could really do in the fall. And a lot of it, yeah, was me texting him late at night, like, hey, like you're not going to see me practice tomorrow morning. I'm just buried in schoolwork. And totally fine. Just come in when you can and we'll make it work. And he made it work. So it was good. And then this spring, was a little bit better, 1 less class. I was able to try to get 2 doubles in for a lot of the weeks. And the less travel helped too. So still maintaining those three lifting workouts and the inner, sprinkled in dry land throughout the week. So
let's say you text Mike late at night here. You don't make it to the morning. You go to the next practice. Do you think, I guess, a lot of pro swimmers that I've worked with, they're more in control of what they're doing in the water too. Are you also adjusting kind of within the pool, kind of how things are going based off of sleep, energy, how you're feeling? Or are you doing whatever Mike has on the board? How does that work as you progress into your late 20s here?
Yeah, he's been, another level of the flexibility, I would say, is how he's been, able to handle me when I come in, and I could not know how I'm going to feel until that day, depending on the schoolwork and everything. There was some times where I'd walk in and I'd say, like, Mike, I gotta swim and I gotta go. I can't, like, I gotta be in 3K and I gotta get out. Like, I can't work hard today. I gotta just go through the motions. And he's like, that's totally fine. Like, I know you have a lot of stuff, so just like keep me updated. And I mostly caught a lot of stuff from the other swimmers who are like, oh, where were you this morning? I was like,
must be nice.
I wanted to, but I couldn't. So I was like, because the college swimmers, Mike's like, yeah, you're 28, you're a pro, you do what you want. And then they're like, oh, can I come in late? And they're like, no, like, what? No, you can't come in late. You got to be here on time.
Breaststroke, ready, go.
So, I mean, and he understands that, I'm I've been a pro for 5 years. I know, I'm definitely more aware recently of how I feel on a daily basis, what I need to put in and stuff. So he's definitely, I mean, he motivates me to try to get in as much as possible and get as much workout. I think he's been really good at kind of knowing, like when I need to kind of just do maintenance and kind of maybe just get to the next workout, or if I can actually, like, you know, giddy up, let's put some work in and put some yards into you. So yeah, it's definitely a day by day case. But he's been super flexible about my cries for help. So
Well, I mean, there was a Swedish guy, Stefan Nystrand, who was one of the top sprinters in the world in the early and mid 2000s. And he was famous, a former world record holder in the 100 free short course. And he was famous for, or known for, adjusting his training and would only do hard days, you know, when he felt like his body was ready to go. And there's a lot of people that are channeling that. And honestly, that's what being a pro is understanding and balancing the things that are happening outside of the pool and doing a lot of the stuff that people don't see. So yeah, it would be easy for a lot of these younger swimmers to see, you know, you and know that you didn't come into morning practice, but they don't see all the other things that are happening that you're doing right to set yourself up for success when you do show up to the pool.
Yeah, or the years and years of doing those workouts, and then, like, you know, coming into the same workout and be like, I'm gonna only do half of it. Like, oh, come on, Nick. Like, guys, I've done plenty. I know. Like, the work's back there somewhere. It's somewhere in here.
What about this famous work ethic I've heard of? Where's that?
Yeah.
But you had as many years and years as some other swimmers, right? Am I correct that you got a little later start and did some other sports in high school? Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really start doing doubles till college. So I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, doing cross country and tennis.
Swimming. Oh,
What?
sorry. Not pickleball and swimming.
No. If they had pickleball, I probably would. I was on the tennis team, so I'd imagine I'd like to pickleball more if less running was involved. So, but yeah, no. So I did other sports, and you know, I definitely had to take, you know, time off and realize that it wasn't a year-round thing until probably my senior year of high school is when I was like, okay, like, yeah, I swam in the summer, but it was just kind of whatever. Then in the summer of my, like, senior year was when I really started to be like, okay, like, Georgia, they're gonna have me doing 9 practices a week and weights, so I maybe need to start working out a little more to, like, get ready for that. So yeah, I'd say I got maybe a little bit. I've been swimming for forever, but I wouldn't say I've been, you know, fully committed to that for as long as maybe some other people have. So yeah, but definitely, you know, UGA was a place to be if I needed to play catch up on building a base. So
Jack not
sure
like that you didn't put your time and years in, that's for sure. But
yeah, well, that's one of the things I talked with Mike about, like, when I first got here. He's like, listen, like, you have a treasure trove of aerobic base. I'm not going to make you any better aerobically here. Like, I just can't do it. So, like, we're going to work on, like, your technique, your sprint stuff. We're going to work on the other things and, like, see how that works. I'm like, that sounds like a great plan, Mike. Yeah, I was like, I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Keep talking, Mike. Keep whispering sweet training nothings into my ear. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, Nick, we got some rapid fire questions for you to wrap.
Oh boy, all right.
What's the hardest race in swimming?
I hear the 4IM is pretty tough. I haven't. Sorry, I know you're looking for rapid fire, but I was actually happy enough to go to Georgia where we had a stable of 4IMers, and I never was needed to come in because I think everyone's like, oh, you'd be pretty good for him, but I never got the opportunity, thankfully. So I hear that's the hardest event, though.
Yeah, that's all right. My age group coach always told me my first junior cut was going to be in the mile, and it was in the 50. Yes.
Proved him wrong.
All right. Olympic gold, world record, or ISL MVP? Assuming you get paid.
Olympic gold is probably top tier, considering that if it wasn't for a DQ, I would have been almost ISL MVP, or not the season MVP. That actually would have been nice. That would have been real nice. But yeah, Olympic gold probably.
Yeah, that one will pay long term. All right.
Yeah.
Skins race you're most likely to win if it's not breaststroke.
Freestyle, I guess. Yeah, I don't really have the chops to do a second 50 of flyer back. So
Hey, maybe it could be a different distance. Maybe it's like 100 breaststrokes. I don't know. All right, bigger fashion swimming faux pas: wearing your goggles outside the cap or wearing a non-tech suit jammer.
Mel wears her goggles on the outside of her cap, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with your jammer, wearing a non-tech suit jammer.
Should have clarified for guys specifically.
Yeah, well,
Atlanta or Athens?
well, they're all pretty. They have their own pros and cons.
No, you got to pick.
Rapid.
Okay, Atlanta.
Preferred way to settle the score: arm wrestling, thumb war, rock, paper, scissors, or pickleball.
Ooh, rock, paper, scissors.
How many double cheeseburgers can you eat in one sitting?
At least 3. That's my last data point was 3. So
where from?
It was a friend's Shannon's a friend's birthday party. I had 3 double cheeseburgers the weekend before trials. So
pre-race meal is cheeseburgers. If you could choose to race breaststroke a distance that's not competed, so we race the 50, the 100, and the 200. If you could choose any race distance that best suits you, what distance would that be?
only breaststroke?
Yeah.
I don't know, probably a 150, right? Somewhere in between. Get a little speed in there, and then also have that endurance side.
I don't know. It depends how much you lean on that Georgia endurance base and don't train endurance anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, which race from your career are you the most proud of?
Let's see. I think the 200 breasts at trials, the final. Yeah.
Does Mel beat you in practice, and if so, in what?
Very often, yeah, in a lot of things. Not so much breaststroke swimming, but breaststroke kicking she will. Yeah. Well, her kick is awesome. So she'll crush me in fly kick, free kick for sure. And then I've definitely had some close calls and losses when it comes to freestyle threshold for sure. Aerobically, she's an animal. And then yeah, I am long course. I am stuff. Short course. I can use the walls to my advantage, but long course, a little more swimming, and my backstroke and fly is not as good as hers. So.
There's no shame in that. All right, how many times a week are you guys doing social kick?
Not enough, I can tell you that. No, we have a couple of times, so maybe 2.
All right, we'll put in a word next time I'm on the pool deck at Tech.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's been fun to chat and hear about you and your career and all the goings on. And we'll keep cheering for you as long as you're going to keep on swimming, old man. So keep on after it.
Yeah, well, breaststroke's an old man's event, so hopefully I just keep getting better and better.
I love it. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Social Kick, and we'll see you guys next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it, and be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick, and you can find all of our content on our website,